first thing you realize about my mother, Wairimo, is her essence and her presence. It is hard to miss her in a room because she'll be the one pacing up and down to ensure that you have everything that you need before she sits down. She serves to a fault. Sometimes till she's limping. It's an African thing, I guess. You know how in the Bible, where David's brothers were not allowed to sit down until David arrived when Prophet Samuel had come to anoint a king? There are some things that stand still until my mother is involved. She raised us with my supportive father in the straight and narrow with Christian principles. That translated to a sleeper here and there, some tough loving with some pinches that would make sure that we were upstanding citizens who would contribute to the community. And that we are. I am Warimo's last born child, and she has a soft spot for me, even though she'll never admit it. I grew up as a healthy, chubby, cheeky child, and apparently, I used to teach my imaginary children in my mother's garage. I used to stay till late evening, pretending that I'm taking tea with them, and mark you, I did not have a sweater, and it was late at night. Oh, how we would have a fight about that. Nevertheless, hardly did I catch a cold. Things changed in 2007. My right knee began to dislocate all on its own, out and in, back in milliseconds. But the pain was excruciating. But the third time it was doing this, my concerned parents took me to an orthopedic surgeon who suggested surgery with the promise that it will not dislocate again. We believed him, and so we went forward with it. This meant nothing when 1.5 hours in, I was still in theater. His word meant nothing to my mother when 2+ hours I was in theater and she was waiting for anyone to tell her anything. I've never really asked her what goes through her mind when she's waiting. Is she anxious? Is she fearful? Is she hopeful that finally things will get sorted? Or is it all of them all together? I cannot imagine how nerve-wracking it must have been to wait for your child to get out of theater when 30 minutes turned to more than 2 hours. I never really did ask. Finally, I did get out of theater, but scarred for life. My life took a turn. And it was not just for me, for my family as well. I developed some type of pain that was electric-like. I want you to imagine that you have wet hands, and then your wise self decides that nothing will happen, and you decide to switch on. You know that electric shock that you would get? That kind of pain is what I developed. It started in my right leg, then the left leg, my back. After a month, it was in my hands, and later to my head. When the pain reached my head, there was no looking back. The most bewildering thing is that doctors could not find out the source of the pain because clearly it was not surgery related. That's when the narratives began. And the accusations started coming in. She's faking it. She's exaggerating it. She's malingering pain. She's shopping for doctors. It's adolescence that is disturbing her. This particular one was said in Swahili. I don't know why it made more impact. Hii ni adolescence inamsumbua. My mother, Wairimo, dispelled all those inaccurate diagnoses. She stood by me, she encouraged me, she believed in me, and believed that I was in the type of pain I was describing. She did not listen and did not waver, not even once. After searching far and wide, in India, I was diagnosed with a condition called fibromyalgia. It's a chronic pain condition that affects my muscles. For me, the most affected areas were my legs, which meant that there are times that I could not walk. I needed a wheelchair. We had to buy a wheelchair that would ferry me from my bedroom to the car when I'm going to hospital. And at my worst, I needed a wheelchair to wheel me from my bedroom to the sitting room. A mere 10 steps. I never really did think that we could sink that low. Yes, we were relieved that there's a terminology to this thing I was experiencing. But later, a very heavy sigh, because the doctor said there's no cause, there's no cure. So the battle of functionality began. In 2014, that is a tale all on its own. I was in Form 4, but I was barely making it to class. The class was in the second floor, and at one point, I stopped going to classes, and I operated from the dean's office. The pain felt as if every step I made felt like I was walking on needles. At some point, I felt like something had bulldozed over my body. My mock papers I did when I was home. My mother, Wairimo, she'd go to school, get the mock papers, invigilate me while I did the papers, no cheating, take them back, rinse, repeat. At this point, I don't think she had a life of her own. KCSE was here with us, and I was as prepared as I could have been. I reported to school one day before the chemistry practicals, and that was what I was depending on. I had several challenges with that KCSE. One was one time I entered the examination room and I could not write my name because my muscles in my hands could not be able to hold a pen. It kept dropping. I couldn't fold my hand enough to be able to write. And yes, it's the same right hand that's depended on to ensure that I finish my KCSE papers. My supervisor at the time was God sent and instructed one of her invigilators to write as I dictated to her. All this time I'm doing this, I'm being transported from the examination room to the dean's office in a stretcher every morning after every paper, because still I couldn't walk. After all that drama, what I scored was an A-. It speaks nothing to my ability because what I see was a miracle. And this, remembering that at one point, one of the psychiatrists had doubted my IQ because he thought that I was skiving school. So he did an IQ test, and it was above average. I had a smooth transition to the campus. 2016, I was diagnosed with chronic migraines. The hospital visits were more than the class attendance. 2017 is forever etched in my memory because of the excruciating abdominal pain that I had to undergo an emergency surgery. My mother, again, had to stand outside the theater corridors and wait for me. She's the one who had to call my father and my sisters to inform them that I was having an emergency surgery. She was the one who had to wait again, just like 2012, waiting for me, waiting for any word. Fortunately, this time, the surgery went well, and when I opened my eyes, my parents were right there. What a comfort that was. 2018, I had a migraine every single day for 6 months. I mean, I wake up with it, stay the whole day with it, sleep for 6 months. To say that the pain was depressing and maddening is an understatement. It reached a point one night where I had had it. I was done. There was nothing left in me to live for. And so I thought, you know what? I think I'd better be in heaven. I picked up a knife that was on the table somewhere to do the unthinkable because there was no way I was going through this pain. But I couldn't go through with it. I broke down. I was in pain. Guess who I called? My mom. She came and stayed with me till morning. And then we went to hospital. I could go on and on and on, but you get the picture. My mother has been with me through thick and thin. I am certain that this was not her life plan. It did not encompass endless hospital visits, trips outside the country, being away from home for more than a month or so. It did not count for sleepless nights. It was not in her life plan. But she'd never let you know that it has tired her or it has wearied her. Never. It has taken a toll on her. I know that. She kept telling me she wishes she could take that pain I was feeling and she could carry it herself. So while I was going through physical pain for more than 11 years now, she has been having the heartache of having to see me in such pain up close. Through my mother's support, through her concern, through her belief in me, even when I didn't believe myself. Because truly there was a moment there where I used to wonder, these people keep saying I'm manufacturing or faking this pain. Could they actually be right? Because I was 16 at the time, but she never, ever wavered in that. So through her stubborn support, I became a published author. I became a transformational life coach. I became an inspirational speaker. And now as I'm regaining my strength, I am working to go back to school that was disrupted by the illness. I do not know if you have such a person like this. I don't know if you have tasted the beauty of fierceness and strength and love and concern and the prayers of a person who always believes you. I don't know. I know I have tasted the beauty. And if you have, if you do, I ask that tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, you pick up your phone for those who are far away from them and you tell them how much you appreciate them. Because it is rare. And since I have been privileged to have that, here is my appreciation. Mom, I can never repay you. I could never repay you for what you have done. All I ask is that God would lengthen your days so that you could see that the person you made stand up is now standing all on her own. And because you did not give up on me, I did not give up on myself. Thank you.